Hey everyone, and welcome back to part two of this video of my mom's reaction to me falling in love and getting engaged. So around year two of this time frame, and I'm going to say 2017, 2018, my mom said something to me that was really weird. She says, God is going to bless you with a wife and beautiful children. So to me, I'm thinking, are you saying I'm going to get married to someone who has a beautiful family? She says, no, Dante, you're going to marry someone and they're going to give you beautiful kids and you're going to have a beautiful family. And again, I'm looking at my age, not that I'm old, but I was looking at my age like, Mom, I don't think so. That doesn't happen very often to people like me. Good guys finish last, this, da, 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 da. And my mom was like, no. She says, when you trust in God, everything works out the way it's supposed to. All of a sudden, doors open, and I'm not talking about in a relationship aspect, but doors open for me in so many different ways. Financially, doors just busted wide open. I was able to do things that I had never been able to do in my entire life. I had opportunities to travel not only throughout different states, which I had always done, but abroad as well. Like my first trip to England. And I was saying to myself when I went, I was like, wow, I get to do something that some people don't get to go overseas their whole life. And I was able to do that. And I wasn't military. I don't come from a rich family. I was able to save up my money and go. And it was kind of amazing to do that on my own and by myself. And that's when I kind of knew that I could do anything, because I felt like that was the first time that I took everything that everybody could get. I took every punch to the gut and was like, you know what? I survived this. I'm going. So that was an important step for me and where I'm headed with this. Now, when around the time before I went, my mom had said something really strange. She said that she saw a girl in church, and the girl had a daughter that had blonde hair and was running around in church. And I was like, what does that have to do with me? She says, no, Dante, that's the girl you're going to marry. I said, you saw this girl? She said, well, no, I dreamed of seeing this girl. I was like, what? I don't know any girl with a blonde-headed daughter or anything like that. So I don't know. And if I did, I don't think she's ever said anything to me. So my mom said, I'm telling you, this girl had a girl with her with blonde hair, and that's the girl you're going to meet. And that's the girl you're going to marry. Now, mind you, I'm single, so I don't have anybody in my life or even know anybody like that. So I'm like, okay, sure, Mom, I got you. Are you mad that the Colts lost again? I mean, that's what I'm thinking of, right? So I ended up going to England, and, at that time, I got pen pals and things like that I just was talking to get information about Europe, and everybody was cool. And I noticed something about my life, too. I noticed that God kept the relationship aspect of my life door shut. And this is what I mean by that. I could meet people at this time, but it could never lead to anything. It was like God allowed people in my life just for the moment, maybe conversation. But the moment that looked like it could materialize into anything, that door was shut. It was like that person was out of there. And I understood why, because I knew that wasn't the person for me. And like I said, I was asking God at this time to send me someone. Now, this was when my life had changed. This was a couple years after that. So my life had changed to where it wasn't so much about moving away. It was about staying and saying, you know what? I'm a good person. I deserve better. And once I started to see that in me, that's when I started to say, you know what, God, running isn't the answer. Moving to a different country isn't the answer. It's about saying, God, I'm asking you to send me someone. And I had never asked God that before, but I did. And he put the work in on me, man. It wasn't right away. So this was years, before I met her. So this was a good 2 years or so before I met her, but almost 3. But I literally was like, God, please send me the right person, because I was only going to accept the right person, or I was going to be by myself. It wasn't going to be any in between, because throughout my life, like I said, I had taken shorts and taken compromises from a lot of people that have crossed my path. And that's not good. That really attacks who you are. As I say, mental health is a big deal, but it was always a big deal. I was very fortunate. People go through things in life, And it's not always fair. We understand that. But when it happens enough times, you can lose your mind. You can go crazy. You can turn to drugs. You can turn to alcohol. You can turn to sex. You can turn to all of these things that can tear you apart as a person. And I was very fortunate with all the challenges I've ever had to never dip that far. I've never let anything that have bothered me to tear me apart to where I literally fell apart. And I give all credit to God, obviously, first and foremost, but I give credit to my mom and my grandmother who had such thick skins, who I saw go through adversity and things too. And so because of that, I knew that I could, and my mom believed that I could. And so I was always able to get through the toughest things in life, where for some it may have broke them. For me, it did not. And I had friends that had gone through tough times, and people that, allowed the wrong people in their life, as we all have done that, and had torn them apart to the point where their life just spiraled out of control, whether it was just them going over here dealing with this or going over here diving into that. And it was just so much chaos. And that was never me. I was able to weather the storm. All glory to God. And not to say it was easy, because it wasn't. It was very difficult. But I was able to weather the storm. And no matter how hard it got, I never gave up on myself. My mom never gave up on me. And God never gave up on me. And so as the years went by, obviously I would always talk to God about meeting someone. I would always talk to God about, what I wanted. I was years away from that guy back in 2016. It was very upset about a lot of things that I knew wasn't right. And I had grown from that situation. I had said, you know what, you don't deserve to be treated like crap by nobody. And that took a lot for me to come into that, man. And I always say, most men will say, well, they mature this and that. I say, yeah, I matured maybe in my late 20s, but I became the man I am today at age, 42 or so, because I felt like that was the turning point for me, where I was like, okay, I'm going to allow this. I'm not going to allow that. And I was always a guy that was willing to compromise, and I had stopped doing that. I learned that people, if they can, they will take a piece of you. They'll keep taking and taking and taking. And I was tired of people taking. I got tired. I had had enough. And so I was in a very comfortable place of strength and courage. And I give all glory to God for that, because, again, it was not easy for me. And that's where the mental health aspect comes in, because I'm blessed and I'm very fortunate that through all the things that I went through, that I was able to get through a tough situation and several tough situations. And then the road became clear for me to travel and move on. And I'm very thankful for that. When I met Martina, as I call her, Martinka, I was at a point where it was kind of blindsided, because I was, I'm not going to say that I wasn't looking, but I just didn't think I was going to meet someone that had the same goals and interests. By the time she came into my life, it was at a time where I was ready. I would always say that I was ready, but I needed like that person that I knew that I could trust, and I needed that person that I knew would trust me. And that's hard to find. I would meet people, man, that literally will tell you they had friends with benefits. And this was in their 40s, man. And I was so turned off by that, because I was like, look, man, I'm not sleeping with you. You're not touching my tushy. I'm not allowing it. No hands off my tushy. I had to tell girls that, you know what I mean? And it's strange, because I'm a guy. So typically it's the girl telling the guy that. In my case, it was me telling the girl that, because a lot of women felt like, okay, this guy is doing well. This guy has this. Let me go try to get. No, you ain't getting none. Hands off my tushy. So that's how I was. And I always stood strong with, I'm not going to be intimate till marriage. So that was a very important part of it, putting God first and putting faith first. I had never met anybody that really agreed with that. So by the time I met Martina, it was different, because my life was where it was at that point many years later that my life was full of life. I had traveled to England. I had traveled to Amsterdam, which was my second European trip. I felt like I could do anything. I wasn't afraid to just go on my own and go. And so when I met her, I was at a place here in my heart where I was stronger than I had ever been in my life. That's strange, because I was 40, 44 years old, pushing 44 years old when I met her. So it was like, it's strange when you think about that. Like, you're in your early 40s, your life feels like you have come full circle, but that's the journey that it took. You know what I'm saying? We're going to continue this next video.